movie fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncharted Media Podcast. This is episode 129, so I've been really binging movie music videos on YouTube. It's an oddly specific, section of the internet, but, if you're listening to this podcast, I love movies, and you love movies if you're here. The only thing I love just as much as movies is movie music, because I think it's an often undervalued part of filmmaking, because you have to listen as well as you watch. So, what we're going to talk about today is our favorite movie composers, your John Williams, your Hans Zimmers. But believe it or not, people, there's other names besides just those two. So, we'll go over all that. Josh, how are you doing tonight?
I'm chilling like a villain, man. Apparently completely washed out by my lamp light, but yeah.
Yeah, you look a little jaundiced, but you've looked worse.
I mean, that is true. I mean, did you ever see me in high school? Anyway,
Yeah, you had hair then.
I know. Oh, that was a low blow. Oh, I'm feeling good, though.
Speaking of low blows, I started watching Invincible, just so you know.
Attaboy! What episode are you on?
2. No, I finished episode 2, so technically I'm on episode 3.
Okay.
I will say right off the bat, I do find it a little bit coincidental that our main character, a Grayson with dark hair, has a thing for a fellow superhero that also is a redhead and is a part of a teenage superhero group. Really?
Bro,
and this Grayson has daddy
comparisons.
issues. And Grayson has daddy issues. Really?
Yeah, and that's not where it stops either.
Oh no.
Man. It's on purpose. It's definitely on purpose.
Also, I noticed this right away in the first episode, in the establishing shot of the high school. The high school is Reginald Val Johnson High School. Really? Carl from Family Matters and the cop from Die Hard? Really? Is this just Robert Kirkman's fan fiction of I want Reginald Val Johnson to have his own high school because he's a great hero? Other than that, I'm really digging it. I obviously, because I'm not coming into this the very first week it debuted, I know where this is shaping up to be.
Yeah.
Well, also, to be fair, the first episode points you in the direction of what the rest of the season is going to be,
absolutely.
Which I don't know how I feel about that, actually. I don't know how you would logistically do it, but I know in the comic, the reveal of who the true bad guy is does not happen so early on. It goes on for a while that you begin to trust said characters. So having it right off the bat in the first episode, I'm kind of on the fence about if I like or not, because I'm just I think if this was a mid-season reveal, you have all your discount Justice Leaguers die in the first episode, but you don't know how they died, you're obviously going to be suspicious of the one person that's going to be surviving, but if you draw out that mystery a little bit more. Also, I know it's just my personal taste, but excessive violence, especially in animated form, is still so jarring to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's so when everyone's brutally massacred in the first episode. I had seen clips of it in the Corridor Crew review of it. Not review, but animation breakdown. Just Jesus. Because the show is basically all or nothing when it comes to gratuitous violence. It's either people are getting their heads smashed in, if Hulk smashing Loki at the beginning of at the end of Avengers was realistic, or there is no action whatsoever in it. It's just characters talking, which is fine. The voice acting in this is spectacular. It's a great voice cast, but I just think it's really interesting that it's either people are getting their brains bashed out or they're just chilling and they want to get an ice cream cone.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me to see extremes. I think the extremes are the interesting thing for me on the show. So the reveal early on in the first episode of that who, it tells you right off the bat who the main baddie of the season is.
Yeah, the trailer showed, so.
Yes, basically. All but said it and whatnot. But to me, and this is, again, you're starting out, and we'll see how you feel about it at the end of the season, but for me, having read the comics, and then they kind of show you right off the bat. It's more about, you know the truth, and you feel like you're the only one that knows the truth. And
Okay,
so like
that's fair.
you're seeing all the characters interact with this character who they think is good, but you know the truth about him. You know what I mean? So in some ways it's very smart, and a very risky thing to do.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Um, Other than that, I'm trying to think if I've been watching anything. I don't believe so. I just started with that and going through the rest of my TV shows, and I'm just like, I'm finally going to get around to watching Invincible, which is only 8 episodes for the first
Yeah.
season, so it's not going to take me very long to get through it. Overall, I really, really like it. I think the voice cast is the best thing about it. By far, my favorite character is, I don't think he'll show up for more than one episode, but there's a guy played by Seth Rogen called Alan the Alien.
He's the best.
Alan the Alien is basically I don't want to say bounty hunter, but kind of a bounty hunter. Like this big alien that gets sent to other worlds basically to test that world to make sure, okay, do you have someone strong enough to protect your Earth? So Invincible fights him in like the second episode. And then he's just like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? It's like, this is Earth, right? How do you spell it? With a Y or with an E? With a Y. No, this is Earth with an E. Oh, my bad. This one, like R-Truth. My bad. This one's on me. Hope you have a great day. And he just pieces. Like, dude. I laughed so hard. I'm just, wait, you were sent here to destroy us all. Oops, wrong planet. My bad. We're good.
It's the best. It's the best. I'll say that he shows up later, but like he is like one of my favorite characters. There's a lot of really, really interesting things that they do. So I'm very intrigued to see what you think of the show by the end. Yeah, I haven't. I'm trying to think, man. It's been such a busy week for me that I haven't really watched anything new, so to speak. I just recently finished downloading, at least it should be done downloading, the new Resident Evil game, and it's like,
ooh, is that the one with the tall lady?
Yes.
The tall lady that's like breaking the internet?
Yes, for no real reason, except the internet needs to go to horny jail.
Internet likes tall women, apparently.
Apparently, who knew? I mean, I knew, but that's not the point. And it's only like a 9-hour game, so like I'm gonna knock that out in like a weekend, easy.
Actually, I've been playing something. I've been playing MLB 2K21
Attaboy.
on PS5. But the nice thing is, for the first time in I don't know how long, there's like create your own ballpark, which is a really cool feature.
Oh.
And there's like 30 templates already. So one of them is more or less like Field of Dreams. So it's like an open cornfield. So I've been doing home run derby with a whole bunch of old school players like Stan the Man Musial and Ken Griffey Jr.
Nice.
And I'm just like, this is so cool to just hit it in a wide open field. I'm like, this is paradise. This is heaven. No, it's Iowa, but you get the picture.
Yeah.
But let's get into some news because there's some interesting topics this week. Kicking us off for our first news topic is one that we kind of discussed a few weeks ago, but it's more or less like set in stone now, about the upcoming Black Superman movie that we don't really know if it's a reboot or an alongside, like an Elseworlds type of thing. But when it first got announced, we were kind of wondering who the Superman would be. Would it be a Val Zod? Would it be a Calvin Ellis, a known Black Superman from the comics? No, it seems like our other idea that we had, that they might be going with a Black Clark Kent, is actually what they're going with. And I'm of two minds of this. I'm a bit more receptive to it than the rest of the internet has been, because the internet hates everything that isn't spot on in the comics. However, I get both sides of the argument for this. So I'm going to try and weigh the pros and the cons for this. The biggest con here that some people still can see as a positive, but we'll get into that. The fact that you made this announcement of our new Superman will be Clark Kent. You make this announcement on Henry Cavill's birthday. Like, that's a low blow to Henry Cavill. It doesn't close the door on him. I know a lot of people are just like, Henry Cavill got fired from Superman on his birthday. That's not true, because Warner Brothers has very clearly said that this is on its own separate Earth, own separate timeline, whatever you want to call it. This is separate from everything else. I think that's a good call, but also, here's where some people are going to get mad. I think it's a smarter move for him to be Clark Kent than Val Zod or Calvin Ellis. And here's why. More people know the name Clark Kent than Val Zod. When people think Superman, they think Clark Kent. And I know we said it a few weeks ago, you could have a Val Zod or Calvin Ellis Black Superman in a movie, that's fine. But people are still going to be wondering in the back of their minds, where's the Clark Kent of this world? Is he out there somewhere? And nipping that in the bud now, saying, there's no other Clark Kent, this is Clark Kent of this world, I think is a smart play from a marketing standpoint. I'm still apprehensive about this movie just because we have a perfectly good Superman sitting in our laps, just like sitting at home, anxiously waiting to do this. Like, the man has kept himself in Superman shape, just waiting for the call, and they've done nothing with him. However, I'm not going to dissent like the rest of the internet and just be like, you're replacing Henry Cavill, this is a bad choice, you can't, or worse yet, those idiots out there going, you can't have a black Superman be our main Superman. Like, I don't know. But this is still frustrating to me because this seems like a blatant PR move from Warner Brothers. Like, I'm not one to typically just go, this is woke culture or whatever else. But we've seen Warner Brothers not have the best track record for diversity and respecting actors of other backgrounds. Look, they're just like, hey, look over here, look over here. We're not in the middle of an investigation with Ray Fisher due to racial profiling. Don't look over here. Whereas I was genuinely pissed, but also just laughed to myself when they said a list of certain black directors that were being considered for this. And they're just like, J.J. Abrams is not being considered to direct for this movie, as some might view that as tone deaf. And I'm going, really? Really? Warner Brothers, you think hiring J.J. Abrams, that would be the tone deaf part here?
Yeah.
Having a white guy direct a black superhero. Not, you basically ruining the career of one of your black actors from your pre-existing DC franchise.
Yeah.
You still in an investigation with that. Like, I think I'm looking forward to this just because I'm looking forward to any Superman movie. But I'm so just burnt out is not the right word. I'm just more just like, this is a clear and blatant, like, just PR move more than anything else. If the Ray Fisher stuff hadn't come up recently, I'd be much more amped for this. But Josh, do you see it any other way, or are you excited for this? What are your thoughts?
The only negative here was I felt exactly like some did, that why would you do this on Henry Cavill's birthday? Like, that timing, it feels like somebody would have to be really, really stupid to not realize that coincidence. That's just, and like, I know some people that work in like marketing firms, like that would be something, like, so whatever, man. With that being said though, I'm absolutely down with this. I've seen some fan casts of like who could play Kal-El and who would play Luthor, and a lot of them I'm really down with, honestly.
Okay, let's dive into that then. The rumor obviously has been Michael B. Jordan, for what feels like years, basically. But he said he's on the sideline, and I kind of believe it, just because I think he'll be more preoccupied with producing stuff, because he's been a very big behind-the-scenes role for the past few years. He's producing the Static Shock movie, which if you were the people making this movie, would you now that you have a black Clark Kent, would you also have a black Lex Luthor? Or do you think the dynamic would be more interesting if you kept Lex Luthor white? Josh. Because I could see either way, actually.
Yeah, I can see either way. And there's a lot of conversations here, too, because obviously you can't just ignore the race issues.
No, I think that's going to be a big factor.
Oh, absolutely. I think the bold and risky thing to do would be to keep Luthor white. That obviously opens up a lot of doors for really, really tough conversations. And I can hear Luthor in my head screaming, someone, all powerful can't look like him, or something something really sometimes something that would really challenge biases. But at the same time, knowing WB, they're not going to be ballsy enough to do something like that.
He could have a line something about that's not the face of my savior.
Yeah, but exactly, that would be. But see, I don't see WB having the balls to put something like that on the big screen. I don't see that.
If they were smart, this is where you right one of the biggest wrongs in the DCEU. And don't have Jesse Eisenberg. It's still one of the worst castings I've ever seen. Bring in Bryan Cranston as your Lex Luthor. Fix your biggest missed opportunity. I think it would be much more interesting if Lex remains white for this and have that be a kind of not the main reason that they fight, but definitely there's some underlying themes there. Like there were some underlying themes in Falcon Winter Soldier. But also, on the flip side, how cool would it be to have a strong and powerful black CEO type of I've come from nothing too, but I built myself up to be the most powerful man in Metropolis. You are all powerful, and I could see that dynamic too, kind of like a Killmonger Black Panther situation.
Yeah.
So
the casting I've seen for if they did a Black Luthor was his name escapes my mind at this particular moment, but the guy that played Gibbons in The Mandalorian. Is it Gideon? Not Gideon.
Gideon sounds familiar.
It's the
Moff Gideon?
Moff Gideon.
Oh, Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad?
That's who I've seen.
Ooh.
Yeah, played opposite. Oh, jeez, and I can never remember this guy's name, but I see his face everywhere, mainly because he's in good. What is it? The Good Place, and there's memes of him all the time. Hold on, let me live Google this.
While Josh is doing that, I don't really care what the race of Superman is. I don't care if it's Clark Kent, Val-Zod, or Calvin Ellis. I don't care what incarnation of Superman this is, so long as this Superman embodies what Superman is supposed to be. You can radically differentiate yourself from the Zack Snyder ones. One, the obvious one, but two, if your character starts off hope and optimistic, despite maybe having a tough upbringing, if you have Jonathan and Martha also be black and upbring him in a very tough era, again, that could, and he still chooses to be the hopeful and optimistic person in the world, that's powerful right there, because heaven forbid Superman be hope and optimism for everyone. Now, because I care about the aesthetics, do we think he would have that look, like the Calvin Ellis, the blue with the white and red S? I'm also kind of a traditionalist, and I would like to see what a black actor would look like in the traditional red and blue, because I'm still kind of more of that, because as much as I love the Man of Steel look, I would like a more saturated and full of color version of the suit.
Mm-hmm. So the actor is William Jackson Harper. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you at all, but he's a comedic actor at his core, so the bumbling idiot side of Clark Kent could actually be a pretty feasible thing. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'd be down for traditional. I think it means more to give him the traditional. Because then it's not like, well, he's Superman, but he's not like Superman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Although, because I haven't even really given, oh my gosh, I'm terrible with names right now. They haven't given, they haven't given Cavill like a real Superman suit yet. Anyway, so.
Well, that was apparently Zack Snyder's plan all along.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
In terms of casting the actual Superman character, I don't have anybody off the top of my head, just because even if it was a white Superman and we had to recast, I couldn't think of anything, because Superman requires such a hard skill set to narrow down. I think it's easier to cast Batman than it is Superman, because Superman has to have the physical presence but also the comforting presence. So I kind of hope that we follow the Superman trend of cast an unknown, give some guy his big shot here. I think that could be great. Plus, if it's not a known actor, we'll just see the role. Like, as much as I love Michael B. Jordan, I don't really want him as Superman, just because I won't see Superman. I'll just see Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
So I have optimism about this. It also, because I refuse to let optimism die here, it's just me, the Superman lover in me, refuses to let go of a good thing and refuses to lose hope in anything. Since they've made this abundantly clear that this takes place on a different Earth and a different timeline, Henry Cavill is not ruled out yet. Not officially. Until they officially say something, it's Schrodinger's Superman. He's both dead and he is alive at the current moment. I refuse to give up on Henry Cavill. I think making this Clark Kent also makes it really much easier to tell this is on a different Earth. Whereas if, like I said, if it was Calvin Ellis or Val Zod, would be like, well, where's Cal? It's the Venom situation all over again. Since we haven't seen Spider-Man in the Venom movies, we're going, well, when is he going to show up? And I think we would kind of have the same mindset of, yeah, this Superman's cool, but when is Clark showing up? And making him Clark off the bat, that silences that question at least.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I choose to still see this as a good thing for the most part, but it's going to be tricky. But it's not so much a race thing. It's just any Superman project over the past decade has had a tough go of it from a production standpoint.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's only so much you can do on that, too. At least with that, like you said, at least with them saying, like, it's Clark off the bat, they are starting on a decent foot, given all the circumstances of the day that they released the news, blah blah blah. But to me, it's not the best foot, but it's a good foot.
A movie that I'm sure will want to get off on the right foot is Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Now, Sony has been pretty adamant about, we are not releasing any movies until we are back to the theater. And so they've delayed Venom a lot. They've delayed Morbius a lot. They've delayed Uncharted a lot, which we'll talk about, because of course we have to. But they've stopped delaying things, and Venom: Let There Be Carnage has a definitive release date, but also has now a trailer and a poster. And I'll be the first to admit it. I kind of really dug this first trailer that we got. I will say, though, I'm much more, I think, receptive to the first Venom movie than Josh. I remember you were not the biggest fan of the first one. Yeah. I didn't mind it. It's definitely will never crack my top 20 favorite superhero movies, but I had fun with it in the same way that I kind of have fun with Michael Bay movies, of just light popcorn fun. But what I appreciate, at least from this trailer, is this Venom movie seems to take itself a lot less serious than the first Venom movie. I really, really enjoy that opening scene where the symbiote is making Eddie breakfast, even if his singing sounds like a really, really bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation. I was like, wait, is that Arnold voice that he's trying to do? Also, Mrs. Chan from the grocery store, from the convenience store, she looks younger for some reason now. It's the same actress, but all of a sudden she looks younger. I appreciate that she has her own relationship with the symbiote. She's like, hi, Eddie. Hi, Venom. Symbiote says hi. Like,
Yes.
I liked it a lot. Carnage looks so much better. Like, I won't say Carnage. Well, we'll dive into the Carnage thing because I still have some issues with that, but I'll dive into that in a bit. I mean, the Woody Harrelson, Cletus Cassidy looks so much better than he did at the end of Venom 1 with that god-awful clown wig that he was wearing. But before I get into the whole, like, Carnage side of it, Josh, what did you think of this trailer?
Dude, I'm so with you. I don't know why, but the fact that Venom apparently knows a ton of French is so hilarious to me. Like there's no reason, A, for this alien species from another planet to know English. B, of all the languages for Venom to like sing in, why French? But it's so funny to me. Yeah, like just the way that Eddie has seemed to just be like, yeah, this is a thing now. Like, I can't really do anything about it.
It's like a college student during finals week.
Yeah.
Just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Now, as cool as Carnage looks, and I'm excited for it, I do worry though that Venom: Let There Be Carnage will have the same exact issues of Venom. So I color corrected some of this Carnage to make the red stand out a little bit more, and I really wish the movie did the same thing. Because Carnage is supposed to be red, and I'm very much worried that we're going to have two big, greasy CGI monsters fighting each other in the end, like we had in the first Venom movie, which case you have a big black CGI creature and a big gray CGI creature fighting each other, and it was incredibly difficult to tell the two apart. And I kind of want the colors to pop a little bit more in Carnage so I could tell, okay, who am I supposed to be rooting for? Which one's the one in black and which one's the one in red? So I do worry, though, that we're going to have a lot of that in the finale, but it's Carnage. We've been waiting for Carnage for the longest time, and I think Woody Harrelson is a great choice for this, even if my first pick didn't get chosen, which was Jackie Earle Haley, which would have been terrifying. But Woody Harrelson can be terrifying just as well. So I'm excited for it. It's not like my most anticipated, but I'm excited enough for it. However,
no,
I have the tinfoil hat down below me, but I can't wear it with these headphones. I see this. I'm going
disappointing.
I'm seeing this going. Okay, so this is set for release September 24th.
Mm-hmm.
So end of September is when we're getting our first Uncharted trailer, right? Because this is a major Sony movie, and you're trying to trick people again into believing that Spider-Man might show up in this movie, like you did with the first one, even though I really doubt he will be. What's the easiest way to trick people into going, oh yeah, Spider-Man will be in this? Have a Tom Holland trailer in the front of this movie. But also, the director of the first Venom movie was Ruben Fleischer. 3 guesses who's directing the Uncharted movie as well. Ding, ding, ding. Ruben Fleischer. There's just too much brand synergy, but also with the Uncharted movie coming out in February, it's just that right distance out. It's October, November, December, January, February. It's about 5 months out. So that's about the time when movies start ramping up their marketing campaign. So it's just me that cares about this detail, and I don't even care. But I'm excited for Venom: Let There Be Carnage because to me that's probably when we're going to start seeing Uncharted material. And also the movie I think could be fun and better than the first one. Josh, do you think this has a chance of being better than the first one? Or do you think that's not a low bar for them to cross in your mind?
I mean, it's not a low bar to cross, but I think alone I might be more excited for this one, mainly for I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff in this trailer, but and fun moments and stuff. But there's that moment when we hear Woody Harrelson's character talking, and we think it's his human form, and then the screen changes to Carnage, and the voice changes too, and it's oh, it was so creepy, and I'm so here for it. So let's go, I guess. I think you and I discussed that maybe Andrew might show up in this one.
Yes. Well, we could talk about that at a later date when
Yeah.
it gets closer, but speaking of creepy, I'm just happy that something creepy is on the horizon and not just Spiral, which is, again, doing that weird marketing thing of, hey, you want to see the opening few minutes of your movie? Let's not do that anymore, guys. It's just weird. But the actual creepy thing that I'm looking forward to, A Quiet Place 2. It released its final trailer before its release at the end of this month on March 28th. And honestly, this is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Not just because I loved the first A Quiet Place so much back in 2018, but because the first A Quiet Place was supposed to come out right when COVID hit in 2020. Yeah. Like, we were genuinely this close to seeing it. Like, I'm still pissed because there are people, official critics out there, that have seen the first A Quiet Place 2 and had reviews ready to go, and the embargo was like about to be lifted a day or two before everything got pushed back. So the fact that there's people out there that have seen this movie, but not me, makes me mad. But I love the first one so much. It was my favorite movie of 2018. That first trailer just hooked me, and I knew it was going to be something special, but I didn't realize until I saw it in the theater with Heather how much I was going to like it, because, oh my gosh, A Quiet Place, the first one, was genuinely incredible and one of the best movies I've seen in a long time, especially in the horror genre. And so this trailer doesn't really offer up a whole lot of new, but at the same time, I think that's a good thing. It's more or less kind of like restarting the car after it's been dead for a while. Like, you gotta like, come on. It's a lot of stuff that we've already seen before, but it's just kind of reminding you, oh, hey, it's coming out at the end of this month, and you need to see it in theaters. Or you could wait 45 days and see it on Paramount Plus, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but...
Yeah.
Josh, was there anything that stood out to you in the Quiet Place 2 final trailer, or just general hype for A Quiet Place 2?
So you and I are both very hyped for this movie, and for the same reasons, and it was kind of like really sad about the COVID stuff that, there's people that have seen it that, whatever, I think the really cool thing, though, was they had comments from those people in this final trailer. Now, are they may they be just hyperbole in order to hype this up?
Hyperbole.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, hyperbole is dogs that have had too much sugar at the puppy bowl.
No, hyperbole. I heard somebody call today, one of the guys I work with, called taekwondo, and I've been thinking about that all day.
No, the worst I've ever heard is one of my old jobs. Somebody called a pterodactyl a petrodactyl, and I'm going, no, petrodactyl. I'm going, you do realize the whole gimmick of the pterodactyl is the P is silent. That's where half the dinosaur jokes come from. But you do you, man.
Whatever. Anyway, I did really enjoy the quotes, though. Like, just seeing what the people that have already seen the film have actually think about it and saying, I think the one that stuck out to me the most was, how was it phrased? Basically saying, this is the kind of event that theaters were made for. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, boy.
Get people back in the theaters. People, and I think a lot of people that say that, streaming is the future, blah, blah, blah. While you might be right, when's the last time you watched a movie in the theater, bud? You go watch one in the theater. It is, it's an experience. So, I'm just super, I might go out of my way to see this in the theater. Not like I didn't go see Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong. But that's because it was on HBO Max.
That's the thing, is Mortal Kombat, Godzilla vs. Kong. This, I think, is one of the first major releases that's only in theaters. You can't see this on demand anywhere for $20. You have to go see it in theaters if you want to see this movie at all. But also, just how it was supposed to usher in the summer movie season in 2020, I feel like this is the one that opens the door up for... the the not summer movie season, but just the return of movies in general in 2021. Like Godzilla vs. Kong was really the one that set the table, and A Quiet Place 2, I think, is the one that takes the baton and keeps running with it. Mortal Kombat took the baton, tripped over its feet a little bit. It's still standing, but it's running the opposite direction, and so A Quiet Place is just like, give me that, and it's just going to run in the right direction. And even if Quiet Place 2 doesn't light at the box office, it's going to be a hit because it's not overly expensive, and it can carry the baton to Fast 9, which can carry the baton to Black Widow, which can carry the baton to whoever else. Get the ball rolling, get momentum back into theaters. So this is nothing but a good thing of just, I can breathe easy now because I know I won't be breathing easy when I see it in the theater, which is a good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, we were going to just talk about one of these names, but then, late today, as we're recording this, another name got added to the Knives Out sequel cast. So we were originally just going to talk about Big Sexy Dave Bautista, or Bautista if you're weird and pretentious, or just Bautista, as we like to call him. So Big Sexy Dave was added to Knives Out, but also today, another MCU cast member, well, former MCU cast member
jeez.
was added to the cast of Knives Out with Edward Norton. One of these, I think it's going to be interesting. I know I haven't gauged Josh's reaction yet. I think one of these actors I'm more excited for, and I think one of these actors Josh is more excited for. I think is the case. Edward Norton is fine, but to me, both of these actors exemplified exactly what we talked about in our Knives Out wish list video, which neither of these guys were on our list. I double checked.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Both of these guys can play both good guy and bad guy. Edward Norton has been a good guy, but he's also played a bad guy. He's played quirky characters like in Wes Anderson movies, but he's also been a bad guy. What's the one where he pretends to have social split personality or whatever? Yeah. There was no Aaron.
Was it Fight Club?
No. Well, that too. But
I thought you were weren't saying it because we can't talk about Fight Club.
No. I'm not that smart, Josh. Way to think on your feet. Good job.
Thanks, man.
But Bautista also has been a bad guy, but also a good guy. I think it's funny that when this news broke, Bautista tweeted something about, you thought you could escape from me, Mr. Bond, because Bautista was in Spectre with Daniel Craig as a Bond henchman and was one of the only good things about Spectre. Hated that movie. I think this is great. I'm obviously more excited for Bautista just because I really like Bautista as an actor because he's shown this willingness to try and learn. Two separate things. He's tried so many different projects. You've got My Spy, which sucked, but you also had Blade Runner 2049 and Spectre and Guardians of the Galaxy. He's really tried a bunch of different things, and to me, he's really, really improved as an actor. He was decent in the first Guardians, but you can tell his maturation and his growth as an actor over these past few years. If you can tell he's really put the time and the effort to improve himself. He's not the man with the golden arms anymore, which wasn't awful, but you could tell that's early in his career. He's shown such a dedication and a willingness to learn and improve, which makes me super excited to see what he does with Rian Johnson. And then there's Edward Norton, who's already like a really big name, high profile actor who, not gonna lie, I didn't see attached to this just because Edward Norton is known to not like any part of the creative process that doesn't immediately involve him. So how long before Edward Norton tries to interfere with the script or change the narrative of the movie?
He probably already has.
Yeah.
It's just Edward Norton's thing. I am very excited for Dave. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, Edward's cool, I guess. I think the thing I want them to do with Norton, and I hope that Norton's okay with, is make him do something that's completely different, something he's never done before, something that would be out of the ordinary for us to see him in, which would be just like something Wes Anderson-ish,
but like he was in Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, but something that's not so, or Moonrise Kingdom,
Hmm.
which is one of my favorite roles for because he's like this like weird, quirky like scout master. And anyway, I just give him something unique to do. That's not something that we're used to seeing him in. That's not some like aggressive role that he just takes over the scene. Anyway, but I'm excited to see Dave a lot. I think the running gag right now with Knives Out is they get these really really buff, super handsome guys and put them in puffy sweaters. And it's just the best. And I'm excited to see what they do with Dave. Because we're this one's set in Greece, is it not?
Potentially. We don't know that's confirmed, but when
Oh,
Jamie Lee
fair, fair,
Curtis
fair.
said something about the Thrombies won't be in it this time around, they won't be able to join um, Benoit Blanc, which I feel dumb because I listened back to our Knives Out wishlist video from a few weeks ago just to make sure we didn't say Bautista or Edward Norton should be in it, which the entire episode I spent calling the character Hercule Poirot, who is Kenneth Branagh in Murder on the Orient Express. Daniel Craig is Benoit Blanc, not Hercule Poirot. One of them is in a good movie. The other one is in Murder on the Orient Express. So that's me correcting my own mistake.
I don't know what's more sad. The fact that you said that you made that mix up, or the fact that I didn't catch it at all.
Okay, that's the problem is it wasn't just once I said this. I said it throughout the entire episode. Guys, I swear, I love Knives Out. I just got it mixed up with Murder on the Orient Express, which I absolutely hated. Like, the movie sucked so much, and I despised it so much. But, any last minute thoughts before we go into our discussion, Josh?
No, man. I mean, Knives Out 2 is something you and I are really looking forward to. So I mean, why not? You know, like let's go. I am still really apprehensive about Netflix producing it. Um,
Yeah.
but
I
you
wanted to
know,
see this in theaters, gosh dang it.
hey, with them saying they're going to put Zack Snyder's in there, maybe there's a chance.
I will say, though,
Maybe.
that if Netflix is obviously Netflix is doing this because they shelled out the $400 million to get the rights to this, the movie will look good. I've never
Oh yeah.
once complained about. I still think Netflix's 4K streaming option is way too overpriced and ridiculously expensive, but the quality of the 4K stream itself is spectacular. Like no streaming service to me visually looks as good as as a Netflix original, either movie or show. Like their mandate of everything has to be shot in 4K. It holds up. It looks pretty good. So I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. Before we get into our main discussion, our sponsor this week again is we've got merch, guys. We've got all the merch you would ever need. Just basically go to the link in the description that I'll post every single podcast, every single video. We have merch. We've got Uncharted Media shirts, mugs, hoodies, stickers. My stickers and my shirts came in. So yeah, get whatever you want. If the merch does well, that's on you guys. If you guys want it, awesome. If not, that's totally cool. If you guys want to get the merch and it does well, we will do other designs. We've already talked about doing a tinfoil hat shirt, which, come on guys, I really want to do a tinfoil hat shirt. We do everything else. But also, without delving too much, we are working on things behind the scenes here to get more content up and running besides just the podcast and the little snippets of news that we get from the podcast. We won't show our full hand yet because stuff is still in development, but what we can say is we are bringing 5 Good Things back. We've thoroughly missed it, but we are working on bringing it back as its own separate video series, which will probably be like a once-a-month thing. And we're working on, we can't guarantee it, but more than likely it's going to happen, is we want to bring it back, the first episode back, as its own standalone series by the end of this month. So if you guys have any ideas or suggestions of just god-awful and abysmal movies that you think it's impossible to find anything good about whatsoever, hit us up. We're up for the challenge. We've watched Catwoman. We barely survived, but we watched it and we found like 3.5 good things and just pulled stuff out of our butt for the other 1.5.
Yeah.
But if you think of any god-awful movies you want us to talk about, send us a comment down below. If you want Uncharted Media merch, go down to the links below. And as always, we appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. Now, there's nothing that I like more than movies, except for maybe movie music, because I think music in movies is phenomenal. It's a wonderful way to tell your story without visually telling it. Of how do you say, hey, this is what a character is thinking or feeling, without going and turning to the camera and saying, this is how I'm looking, this is how I am feeling. I can't just tell you my emotions every single time. I think movie music often gets overlooked just as oh, this sounds pretty, or people are so caught up with the visuals that they don't really pay attention to the music unless it's really, really amazing, like the portal scene in Endgame. So, to shine a better light on movie music, we're going to talk about our favorite movie composers, your John Williams, your Hans Zimmers. But there's other names out there besides that, because most people are just like, oh yeah, John Williams, who did like everything, and then that's kind of about it. There's a lot of other great composers out there, and some great movie music. So if it was up to you, Josh, because it is now, where do you start tonight? Where are we starting tonight?
I think we're gonna go with my one go-to that I always bring up in any chance I get. So John Powell did the
gosh dang it!
did the
How to Train Your Dragon, the first flight.
How to Train Your Dragon.
I knew it. I knew John Powell was going to be on this. Even if Josh has not seen another John Powell scored movie, he's just going to talk about how much he loves the How to Train Your Dragon soundtrack. I knew that was going to happen every single time. Just like how I don't know any movie ever scored by Greg Amundsen, but the man scored Uncharted, so it's wonderful. But I didn't put him on this list because I tried to put thought into it.
Hey now. Hey, so here's the thing. I have come to find out that John Powell also did a good chunk of if not all of the Bourne movies. So that's cool. That's actually pretty iconic too, because that's like, I mean, I hear a lot of those soundtracks a lot in my head. So, but definitely How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes, specifically First Flight. Like, so there's rumors that well, there's not rumors. It's confirmed that Universal Studios is building a third park, and one of the lands is rumored to be a How to Train Your Dragon ride. I need there to be on-ride audio while you're flying at one of the dragons to have the First Flight music playing. I'm not even the biggest How to Train Your Dragon fan. That's Josh. I would still cry tears of joy because that music is so good, and it would fit all too well for a coaster. Just chef's kiss. Just so yes. Good. I kind of thought that would happen. Just Josh is like, I don't know how do I fit How to Train Your Dragon into this? Like, what's the most depressing movies in the world? How to Train Your Dragon. Thought about being sad once.
It is sad. His father doesn't like him when he's for most of the movie.
How to Train Your Dragon. They talked about pizza once, so that's a cooking show related movie. Yeah. Like, Josh needs like 6 degrees of How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, believe me, I could do it. I would not have a hard time with it. There's livestock in the movie, so it's about farming.
So it's Animal Farm, so it's a George Orwell one. So we should watch How to Train Your Dragon in literature class.
I mean, you should. I don't see why that would be a thing. But
oh, lordy. Okay. Josh is getting this thing off the rails. I'm going to get it back on track.
I am. Do it. Let's see what happens.
It's getting more off the rails than an Ozzy Osbourne concert. But let's just get the big one out of the way with John Williams. So, like, every time anybody says movie music, 9 times out of 10, people's first thought is to immediately go to John Williams. Now, in my notes, I made sure to put, like, famous movies that these people have done the music for. I did that for almost everybody except for John Williams because you guys know what he's done. He has done Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Superman, Jaws, all the major movies that basically kind of sound like they could be played by a high school marching band. He has done. That's his zone, and he's good at it. Also, I forgot to specify when we started this discussion, for all the people that we're going to talk about today, unless it's John Powell, in which case Josh just brought him up just to say How to Train Your Dragon again. Everyone else will be kind of giving our thoughts of what we think their best score is and what an underrated soundtrack that they worked on was. So, like, John Williams has worked on everything, and you're really, really hard-pressed to find something that's underrated when it comes to John Williams, just because almost everything he touches turns to gold and everyone knows what it is. However, there's one that I think doesn't get the praise or adoration it often deserves, considering how good it is. And it's one that kind of gets used everywhere else. It's just kind of an ambient thing. And I still, to this day, do not understand why the critics tore this movie apart so much with Robin Williams' Hook. Hook has absolutely gorgeous music. It is swinging way above its weight class. Like, the movie's not bad. I genuinely don't get why it's like in the 20s on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not that bad, guys. Like, this movie has been eviscerated by critics, and it's
Really?
yeah. That's why I blew my mind when I saw that for the first time. It does not fit. Like, it's really, guys. It's not that bad.
It's not bad. Wait, what? Hold on. There are people that think Hook is a bad movie?
Yeah, you keep talking, Josh. I'll look up the Rotten Tomatoes for Hook.
That's like, but like Bangarang and like
and Zuko
and Zuko. Like, there's so oh, like, I don't understand how somebody can see that. Maybe it's because it's an odd role for Robin.
It is a bit long. Like, even I'll say that. It is a bit long.
Mean, maybe, but like, if people were penalizing movies for being too long, why is Zack Snyder's Snyder cut of Justice League not an issue?
Yeah, 29% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What? That is
by the critics, 76% by the audience.
Okay, I'll accept the 76. That's fine with me.
But hey, also, this movie has Phil Collins in it, so that makes it great and perfect. And also has George Lucas making out with Carrie Fisher. Less than perfect. And people that lose their marbles, which I still think is great, even if it's kind of dumb.
I love that. But I love that joke.
Hook, genuinely, the music does not get talked about enough. I would put that up there as some of the greatest John Williams music of all time. Now, I kind of want to hear Josh's thoughts on this one. I have my thoughts and my pick of what I would say is the best John Williams score of all time for an individual movie, more than anything else. But if you had to pick Superman, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jaws, Close Encounters, if you had to put one above all, what are you putting as your best John Williams score of all time?
I'm gonna go straight to Binary Sunset.
That's a single track.
I understand. It's the best. It is literally better. It's the best. It's the pinnacle John Williams. Like, I mean, you can. Okay, fine. A New Hope. Sure.
Okay, that's the right answer because that's what I put.
I'll say New Hope.
That's what I put too. So that's the right answer.
Binary Sunset is the best. Okay.
So what I appreciate is Binary Sunset is Family Guy proof. Like when they're making every fun of everything in the Family Guy Star Wars special, and they have Chris look off in the distance at the twin sons, and they play Binary Sunset, and he just turns to the camera, John Williams and the London Philharmonic Orchestra, everyone, and then they just stand and they applaud John Williams. Now do the People's Court. Dun 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 dun.
He's done episodes of The Simpsons and of Two and a Half Men. He's done music for like a few episodes.
Interesting. He's got tiger blood.
Saul, thanks to Josh.
What was that?
It's a new segment of the show I've just created.
I'm scared. But yes, I'm in agreement with you. A New Hope has to be, to me, the best John Williams. Like, for one individual movie. You could say Duel of the Fates is fantastic, or the Raiders March, or Superman March. But so much of the identity of Star Wars comes from the score, and so much of the Star Wars soundtracks in the later movies would be derived from A New Hope soundtrack with the Binary Sunset, with the Force theme. The only one that I can really think of besides Duel of the Fates that doesn't originate from A New Hope is the Imperial March, which that blew my mind. I'm just like, wait, that was in A New Hope. But no, Imperial March doesn't actually come in for the first time until Empire Strikes Back, which still just... What? Because you just, like, it's the Berenstain Bears thing of just, like, you misremember your entire childhood. The other name that people tend to think of when they think of movie scores is Hans Zimmer. Basically I don't want to say the antithesis to John Williams, but the other side of the coin. Whereas John Williams is much more old school, like traditional marches and a lot of stuff that high school marching bands can play at halftime, as I like to call it. Hans Zimmer is much more boom boom trailer music of like the more new school way of thinking. And Hans Zimmer has done so much that you don't even realize that was him. Obviously, you've got the Dark Knight trilogy. You've got Gladiator, Man of Steel, Sherlock Holmes, the Antoine Fuqua, King Arthur. What I almost put as his most underrated soundtrack with Kung Fu Panda. Because, dude, the first time I watched Kung Fu Panda 2, when Po learns of his true lineage and he finally does the raindrop thing for the first time, that music is like, holy crap, John. Like, holy crap, Hans. It's that meme of just like, all right, Hans, it's a movie about a fighting panda. You don't need to go too hard with the music, and it's the flaming piano. It's just... Because, guys, I'm trying to remember what the song title is called, but in Kung Fu Panda 2, when Po kind of gets his hero mojo back, the music for that is so powerful, and it just moves you.
But, like, in general, like, the music for Kung Fu Panda, like, because did he do all of it or just 2?
I think he did all 3.
Okay.
I know he did at least the first 2.
To me, I'm going to put most underrated in my personal favorite of Hans. And that's a lot of that's not because I'm almost as big of a fan of the Kung Fu Panda movies as I am How to Train Your Dragon, but that's not the point. Point being, for Hans Zimmer, the Inception guy, to do something as beautiful and as elegant as that Kung Fu Panda score, it just, because there's so many moments like you said, like, all right, man, you don't need to go hard, but like, holy crap, like, dude, like some of the main themes in the last fight for Kung Fu Panda 1, and like, I'm just hearing the flute in my head. It's just like, it's so good.
It's so also different from the rest of what you would consider a Hans Zimmer score, because it does use... Again. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up with John Williams. But his music for Kung Fu Panda is so radically different, but also fits the movie with, like you said, the flutes. It's got much more of an Asian flair to the music, which really, really works. It's not just we're just going to stick Hans Zimmer music in here and make it fit. It's, no, we're going to make this work within the narrative and make it feel like it belongs there. I'm going to flip it this time and go with the best first, just because I really, really want to talk about his most underrated music by far last. To me, being a kid in the 90s, it was either the Dark Knight trilogy for his best music, or what I'll actually end up sticking with, The Lion King. Because...
Wait, what? Hold on, what?
He scored The Lion King, guys. Like, all the music was obviously done by the various artists, like Ernie Sabala and Nathan Lane for Hakuna Matata. All the singing was specific people. But the instrumental, like This Land or King of Pride Rock, was Hans Zimmer. And good God, it is so beautiful. Like, when Simba's climbing up the rock at the end of the movie, that's Hans Zimmer, and it's
crazy to me.
Y'all have been listening to Hans Zimmer a lot longer than you think you have, without even realizing it's him.
That's so, because like my first like memories, like, because Hans did Inception, right? Like, so like that's my first like vivid memory of like, oh, that's a Hans Zimmer score.
Yep.
That's crazy. I'm having my mind blown today.
Josh may be reevaluating which is his best.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not, because Kung Fu Panda is way too good.
I don't know. We might change Josh's mind one more time, because I think Hans Zimmer's most underrated music by far is a movie that should not be nearly as good as it is, but also has a phenomenal voice cast, phenomenal musical numbers, and a phenomenal score in The Prince of Egypt.
Wait, no. Hold on. No way. I've got to Google that. There's no way. Hold on. Prince of Egypt. Yes, that one. Cut music. There's no way. There's no way. Hold on. Prince of Egypt. Not the music. Okay, we're just Google. Thank you, Google, for taking this episode of Morty's Mind Blowers down way too long of a path.
This is entertaining for me.
What? How? What? That's so crazy.
Now Josh might be reconsidering.
That's what?
Josh may have a new favorite film composer.
Okay, because here's the thing. Whenever I think of Prince of Egypt, specifically, I think of the Burning Bush theme.
Okay, we need to talk about the Burning Bush. We need to talk about the Burning Bush.
Okay, so that's the theme that gets me every single time, right? But so now it's not surprising of of the Kung Fu Panda theme, right? Because if your introduction to Hans Zimmer is Inception and Dark Knight, he's like you said, he's the antithesis to John Williams. He kind of does things differently outside of the box, but and so that makes Kung Fu Panda such a big surprise. But if it's Princess, I'm just
now you got to choose Prince of Egypt or Kung Fu Panda.
I'm sticking my guns. I gotta do it. I gotta stick to my guns.
We said very, very briefly about the Burning Bush, and guys, if you have not, so basically the Prince of Egypt is the story of Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt. That's what it is. And DreamWorks, please go back to making movies like that. I don't mean Christian movies, but just movies to that quality, because holy crap, the animation was incredible. The music was incredible. But the moment where Moses more or less hears God for the first time and he sees a burning bush, it is so impossible, nearly, to basically give, I don't want to say the presence, because that's not the right word, but a godly spirit to music. But somehow Hans Zimmer did it. When you listen to this track, you understand immediately this is a godly spirit. This is genuinely God speaking to Moses, because without any dialogue being said, it is a little creepy, it's strong, it's powerful, but it's comforting and relaxing all at the same time. It's all these complex things that are often associated with a godlike figure all wrapped up into one gorgeous music, which I thought was almost like, if you were to say, how would you describe God using only music? I would think that's an impossible task, but listening to the Burning Bush and going, it's scary, but amazing, and I can't stop listening to it, and it's gorgeous, and it's powerful but comforting at the same time. It's soft but strong.
The song itself builds from these soft notes into something so aggressive but loving, and I'm not even talking about the speech that is made in that scene.
I am that I am.
Yeah. Oh boy, let's go. Look, I know both of us come from a Christian background, so it's hard to not be bro, this is the moment Moses goes becomes Moses. You know what? It's Batman becoming Batman. It's so cool.
It's like Moses picking up Captain America's shield.
Yeah, this is the moment, bro. But it's just the music and the combined, any good music adds to the animation. The animation's already gorgeous, already conveys the emotion, and the voice acting is already doing that for us, but that score just takes it to another level. All right. Anyway, so let's stop geeking out about Hans Zimmer.
No.
What else? Yeah.
No. The rest of the show is just Hans Zimmer, and Josh will realize everything else that the man has scored without realizing it. He did Babe Pig in the City. I don't know. He might have, knowing Hans Zimmer, just because. Next up, I've got kind of an up-and-comer, but he's been doing it a while, but he's starting to get more and more projects that I'm noticing his name attached to that gets me really, really excited. A guy by the name of Marco Beltrami, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, who has done movies like Ford v Ferrari, Logan, The Giver, Snowpiercer, I, Robot. However, I think by far both his best and I still think his most underrated is he did the music for A Quiet Place. And that music, the score to A Quiet Place just hits me hard every single time. Whether it's A Quiet Family at the beginning, it's just like this sense of peace and calm, but still this distantness of like the family clearly is not speaking. Obviously they're not speaking because it's dangerous to talk, but they're not expressing themselves either. That's why Quiet Place is so perfect to me. It's literally a metaphor for this family refusing to acknowledge a situation that happened, and so it's causing this rift without ever a word being spoken. And the music reflects that. It's strained, it's comforting, but a little uncomfortable at the same time. But also, when he plays the music for I Love You, I Have Always Loved You, will never not just shatter my heart into 1,000 pieces, which I don't want to spoil it for those that haven't seen it. But if you think A Quiet Place is just going to be your traditional scary movie, no. There's a lot of family complexities, but also, again, kind of piggybacking off of the Prince of Egypt thing, when I see A Quiet Place, there's to me a lot of religious undertones, whether Krasinski intended them or not, and I got a very much a God-Jesus situation going on, or a God-children situation going on with John Krasinski and his daughter, and the sacrificial nature of that, and it's just so beautiful to me, and the music does such a good job of encapsulating it, but also the tenseness of certain scenes. When she's hiding in the bathtub, you're just like white-knuckling it, and the music certainly does not help. Of the ones that I've listed, including A Quiet Place, I'm assuming A Quiet Place is the one that stands out to you the most, Josh?
Yeah, that's the biggest issue I've ran into us doing this was like there's a lot of people that I just had no idea who they were. So yeah, I'm gonna go with I'll do Quiet Place because the music is awesome. I mean, it doesn't hurt that the sound design is incredible, so the music is gonna automatically stand out. So.
Well, also, the music for Logan is so good, too. It kind of sounds a lot like A Quiet Place, a very much more subdued music, which, man, Marco Beltrami is who you go to when you just want to write sad music. Like, I know The Last of Us had a guy, but if that guy was unavailable, you can get Marco Beltrami to do the music for The Last of Us HBO series, please. Because when Logan's holding his heart at the end, just oof, Beltrami knows how to pull on your heartstrings. Another one that I think is a really underrated score by his, and it's a very underrated movie that I think we're still getting a sequel to. I hope we do. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Really, really enjoyed that one, and I think that's a decent. Obviously, it's a horror score. You kind of have to know where to go with that, and I think he does a pretty decent job considering it sounds different than the rest of his movies.
No, good. Yeah, I still haven't seen Scary.
Oh, it's so good.
I have a name.
Oh, is it Josh?
No, it's not me. I don't write music.
You said I have a name.
Oh. All right, guys, this is the end of the podcast. Thanks for coming. This is great. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't know if he's on your list at all, but I kind of want to bring up Howard Shore.
I thought about it, but at least for me, I couldn't think of anything besides Lord of the Rings.
Edge of Darkness.
With Mel Gibson?
Edge of Darkness?
With Mel Gibson and Frank Grillo?
Yeah. Did you not see that?
I did not see Edge of Darkness with Mel Gibson and Frank Grillo.
As much as I love Frank... Am I the only one that saw that?
I think you're the only one, like, period. Like, not just on this podcast, but, like, in the world.
I love that movie. He also did music for... The Twilight Saga.
So, Twilight has great music, which,
Fair.
like, that's a whole
Fair.
other that could be a whole other discussion of bad movies with great soundtracks, because Transformers, every single one of them, has a phenomenal soundtrack and score. Like, Steve Jablonsky freaking crushed it in Transformers. Twilight's no different.
Are you the one of my friends that loves Hugo?
Yes! Hugo's wonderful!
He did the music for Hugo.
Hugo. That's all. Hugo to me is like if Hot Chocolate was a movie. It's just comforting.
That's not Polar Express?
No, Polar Express is nightmare fuel. Polar Express is hot chocolate that's been allowed to sit, and then you microwaved it 3 months later and expect it to still be good.
Okay, so anyway.
No, Hugo is like, just, it gives me a warm, nice feeling in my tummy seeing Sacha Baron Cohen actually act, but also the appreciation for early days of film. It's just wonderful. Don't get me on a Hugo side tangent. Don't try and distract me like you're a high school math student trying to get out of a test.
Yes. All right, so let me ask you then, because Lord of the Rings is really all you know from him, I mean, obviously not now, but do you have... I'm going to narrow it down to tracks.
Bridge of Khazad-dûm.
Oh, yeah? That's in Fellowship, right?
Yes, Bridge of Khazad-dûm. One, because it's the same music from the Man of Steel trailer. But two, it's just beautiful. Or when the Fellowship is all together, which only plays in Fellowship, obviously, because it's the only time all of them are together united. Also, I don't know what the music track is, but it's whatever goes with my favorite scene in Lord of the Rings, which is, I didn't think it would end this way. End? Oh, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path, one that we all must take. The gray rain curtain of this world rolls back, and it all turns to silver glass, and then you see it. See what? White shores, and to a swift sunrise. That doesn't sound so bad. No, it doesn't. I love that scene so much, and the music that plays with that, and then you think Gandalf's gonna die, and then all of a sudden, the riders of Rohan come in, and you're just like, yes! It's a red day! It's a red day, guys! We're all gonna die! Death! And that music just kicks in. Oh, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna jog around the street.
Yeah, no, that's definitely up there. But, I mean, it's up there with my personal favorite, which is the speech at the Black Gate. Ooh. Oh.
Which... I'm sure I've sent it to you, but for those at home, there's a version where they are at the Black Gate in Return of the King. Instead of the regular music, they do the Portals music from Endgame. So it's like, dun 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 for Frodo, dun 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 dun. And I'm like, it's kind of amazing. So the scene with Gandalf is always the one that breaks me, but I know the scene that always breaks Josh and has amazing music for that too is, my friends, you bow to no one.
Ooh.
And
Ooh. My guy, let me tell you something.
Brother.
Just start cutting a promo mid-podcast. Dude, like all the, like... Lord of the Rings. Okay, look, man, I almost want to do like just an episode where we just geek out about Lord of the Rings.
Just a watch along.
Oh, no, man, we don't have time for a 8-hour stream.
After you watch the movie, that's what you're going to be peeing.
Oh man, stop. Anyway, no, yeah, it's just like there's so many. I think that's the thing for me, that Lord of the Rings is already iconic. And the music is even more so. For that to be like... I'm not even going to bring up The Hobbit because I hate those movies.
Music's fine.
It's fine.
How have we not talked about Concerning Hobbits? Concerning Hobbits.
Yes!
Concerning Hobbits was my alarm clock in college basically the entire time. And I still use it from time to time. It's just like that. As soon as you play it, you're immediately in your happy place of just like, my world's on fire. How about yours? But Concerning Hobbits is on, which if All-Star is not also your soundtrack to life, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. You're doing life wrong if Shrek isn't love and isn't life.
However, actually, with Concerning Hobbits, there is one other song that I'll talk about later that it's just like, Concerning Hobbits is one of my go-to. Everything's fine, I'm peaceful and calm, but there's one that's just like, sun's getting real low, big fella, like the whole calmingness. There's a song for me that I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna melt into a puddle of just calm now, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Is it like the main theme of Iron Giant?
No, actually, I have nothing. I have nothing from Michael Kamen, which I'm like one of the only people that knows that it's Michael Kamen that did the music off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive.
It's because I may or may not have most of the soundtrack on my phone. Bedtime Stories is wonderful. Bedtime Stories and No Following I listen to all the time.
I mean, I'm not going to fault you for that.
Also, Souls Don't Die as a soundtrack, as a score. It's just a banger.
Straight banger. I love that, like, I'll send you, like, anime songs, like, every now and then. You're like, that's a banger. And, like, that is never the word that I think of when we're talking about, like, movie scores and stuff.
Yeah. So, back to me with one is going to be a little... Going to get on some technicalities here. So, I love me some Henry Jackman, but I was not introduced to Henry Jackman via a movie. But he's done plenty of movies, so he's fair game for this list. I was first introduced to him with my favorite Henry Jackman soundtrack, Uncharted 4: Thief's End. It's still the best. And I pray to the movie gods above that Henry Jackman is scoring the Uncharted movie, because, yes, please. But from a movie standpoint, y'all know Henry Jackman's music better than you think you do. He has done Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, the entire Falcon Winter Soldier series, both Jumanji movies, Uncharted 4, Kong Skull Island, both Kingsman movies, X-Men First Class, and what I consider to be his most underappreciated soundtrack, Big Hero 6. Because my heart is just full of joy whenever Hero and Baymax fly over San Francisco for the first time in Baymax's suit. It's just epic. And then they sit on top of the blimps and just hang out as buddies for the first time. And Baymax is like, your vital signs are improving. And it's just, it just warms my heart. And the soundtrack is so good. And his work on Uncharted is just fantastic. And it's more than a little suspicious that when he did Jumanji, which is kind of similar, I heard the Uncharted theme get dangerously close to being played in the Jumanji. I'm like, oh, you got close there, Jackman. I'm watching you. Please do Uncharted, because you're more than qualified, because you've done it before, and you've done adventure movies before. If Uncharted 4 can't count as his best soundtrack because it's a video game, I'll go with X-Men First Class, because the training montage is so good. Like, when everyone's getting their powers, that's some amazing music. Of the ones that I've listed, basically any of the Winter Soldier movies, the Kingsman movies, the Jumanjis, Big Hero 6, any that stand out more than anything else to you, Josh?
Wait, he did Kingsman?
He did both
Hold
Kingsmans.
Okay, yeah, then it's Kingsman. Like, that's an easy choice for me. Like, I love everything about the Kingsman movies. So, and the music's great. So, yeah, we're just gonna stay there.
I don't know why, but when I think Kingsman music, well, I know why, but when I think Kingsman music, I think, take me home to the place where I belong. And then all the people that haven't seen it are just going super, super confused, and all the people that have seen it are just like, I salute you.
But, like, the main theme is fantastic. What are you talking about? Like, it's yeah. Anyway, definitely Kingsman. There's no argument there. It's been actually a really long time since I've watched Big Hero 6, and I think I might.
It's in the Voodoo.
Yeah, I'll watch it tonight. Why not?
Yeah, it's so good. It's in the Voodoo 4K.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, Josh says, what could possibly go wrong? Our computer crashes again. We have that missing episode somewhere.
Yeah.
So, when I said that there's a song that just calms me more than Concerning Hobbits, of just like, if I'm in an unbridled rage, put this on and it'll immediately calm me. The man responsible for that soundtrack is a guy by the name of Thomas Newman, who has done stuff like the brilliant Finding Nemo, which Honorable mention to Nemo's Egg, the opening music for the
Ooh.
title card. Do 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 do. Oh, goosebumps. 1917. Like, I've never almost leapt out of my seat faster than when Schofield is just booking it across the battlefield with the epic music coming in. You're just like, you're so close, come on, come on. He did 1917, Skyfall, outstanding. Wall-E, but to me, his best soundtrack by far, and the one that always just like gets right to my heart, fills with joy and hope and optimism, because that's what the movie's about. The Shawshank Redemption.
How did I know? It was either going to be Iron Giant or Shawshank Redemption. One of the two.
English, do you speak it?
No, I don't. Never.
But yes, the end titles for The Shawshank Redemption, oh my goodness, just, I feel this overwhelming sense of calm and relief when that plays. This just feels right. But then you get tracks like So Was Red. That soundtrack is just so life-affirming. And that's really what I could say about Thomas Newman's scores, is they're just life-affirming. He also did the music for Saving Mr. Banks, which also has that, like, sad tragedy sound to it at times, but ends with real uplifting music. If it wasn't Shawshank for him, I think Finding Nemo would probably be his best as well, because Finding Nemo's got some incredibly touching music. Like, Thomas Newman is the one guy that you get if you really want to pull on someone's heartstrings, or, like we said with 1917, just really ramp up the tension and excitement. He can do that too, but in terms of just calm, wonderfully contemplative and happy, mellow, ambient music type is going to be your Thomas Newman types.
Okay, I'm done.
I've got one more. Danny Elfman.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. I was just curious to see what Josh has written.
Oh, thank God, because I was like, I'm gonna have to pretend like I like this guy, and I was like, I'm not.
I really just wanted to see Josh's reaction, because I've never really cared for Danny Elfman, really. I liked Sleepy Hollow. I like his score for Sleepy Hollow quite a bit, and the original Batman score is fine, but Danny Elfman is not really my favorite. But this guy has done superhero movies, and plenty of them. Basically, back in the 80s, and still to this day, kind of, if you can't get John Williams or Hans Zimmer, you get Alan Silvestri, who has done Back to the Future, Avengers, Polar Express, rears its terrifying CGI head once again, Forrest Gump, the original Predator, what I consider to be his most underrated score, The A-Team. And yes, I stand by that statement. The A-Team movie is phenomenal on all fronts, and y'all hate on it way too much. But I'm sure I have hindsight bias when I say this, but Alan Silvestri's best score by far has to be Avengers Endgame. Not just because of the fantastic portal scene, but the integration of other themes. Like, if you're paying attention close enough, you know Black Widow is going to die very early on in the movie, because if you remember correctly, in Infinity War, when Thanos yeets Gamora over the edge, there's a specific music that's played, and Alan Silvestri also did the music for Infinity War. Well, that same music that plays on Morag is the same music that plays when Cap goes to visit Black Widow, and they're just like, hey, I've got this sandwich, you want it? So if you're listening carefully, that kind of is your tip to say, hey, she's going to die. Obviously, the Portals music is fantastic, but rewind it like a minute or two before that. When Steve picks up the hammer for the first time, he somehow manages to merge the Thor theme with the Captain America theme, which, of course, he would know the Captain America theme better than anybody else because he scored Captain America, the first Avenger. Henry Jackman would do 2 and 3, but the first one was scored by Alan Silvestri, who took heavy inspiration from the Superman theme, which is why you've got that triumphant march/horn sound to Captain America, do 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 do, as opposed to dun 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 with Superman. They're very, very similar. It's almost like he's trying to thematically tell you that these characters are similar, but he's doing it in a musical way. or even the music that plays when Tony dies or in his funeral. I just think the score for Endgame is so good. But obviously Josh's favorite is Back to the Future by far.
I just like Back to the Future.
What's wrong with the music, though?
Well, that's fair. It's not bad. It's just 80s. It's so 80s.
Which I guess
80s. I can't really fault it for that.
Also, Polar Express is terrifying, but that's got great music.
Yeah, it's very memorable. Captain America: First Avenger is fantastic.
Forrest Gump, don't like it, but good music.
Like the music gets the job done.
I'm glad Jenny died.
Anyway.
Even Predator. So if he did the music, then Alan Silvestri should be credited for the da-da-da-da-da-da at the beginning. That kind of sounds like a hardcore version of Mario.
Yeah. It's hard to get better than Endgame, though. It really is. I mean, like the portal scene, just any of this when Thanos is sitting by himself, waiting, and then you have that bill. Oh, like there's so many good moments. Yeah, I'm gonna go Endgame. Maybe it's because it's most recent in memory, and maybe because of how good that movie was. But I don't know. Like there's just he builds on a lot of things, and like you said, like the meshing of Captain America's theme and Thor's theme, and doing that kind of together in that moment, like that's just I'll go Endgame.
Quick honorable mention that we talk about merging Captain America's theme and Thor's theme. Patrick Doyle with the original Thor score, when he finally beats the Destroyer, that music is just or Thor's theme when you hear for the first time when he comes down to the Great Hall with the horn, with the wings, and he's all cocky and arrogant. That music is so good. I know you and I both just scream from the top of our soapboxes. The first Thor is very underappreciated, and it's really good. And the music does a great job. Like when Thor is just about to pick up the hammer, he's just like, I've done it. I've infiltrated the base. I've redeemed myself. And the music is building and it's swelling, and the hammer's stuck. So just as quickly as the music rises, it sinks, and you yourself feel this like sinking feeling in your gut going, oh, we're building for nothing. But it works when the music does kick back in, when he finally beats the Destroyer. You're just like, yes, this is how it's meant to be done. But what do you guys think? Who are some of your all-time favorite movie composers, whether they're John Williams, a Hans Zimmer, somebody else that we completely didn't mention, like a Mark Mothersbaugh with the Lego Movie? Let us know in the comments below. We always like hearing from you guys. What's your favorite movie soundtrack of all time? Let us know. And as always, if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, subscribe to us on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or YouTube. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube at Uncharted Media. And don't forget, if you want to get any Uncharted Media merch, just check out our store on TeePublic. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.